Greetings, 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 greetings. This is I, your king, King Clifford Jefferson. I stand as God for the fifth kind of man Jew, the reincarnation of King Edgar the Peaceful, which we know as Jesus Christ. I'm here again with another marvelous lesson to actually pivot off the previous lecture that I did. So I'm not going to be long-winded with my introduction. It is the September 25th, 2023, which is in the Berber year 2973. This is the most trying year for us as Anglo-Saxon Berbers, but it will get better. For those who are Anglo-Saxon Berbers, the worst is yet to come. And that's a disclosure that I'm making to you in lieu of these lectures, because it all comes down to the Masonic age or the Messiah age. Masonic age or the Messiah age, and return of the Messiah, which I made a clear pronouncement that I am the coming Messiah. For those who disagree with me, that's a prerogative, but the truth is in what I bring. So without further ado, let's go into more clarification of who I am in regards to information that you need in regards to the fulfillment of the 6,000-year prophecy. All right. So all those who are viewing this or will be viewing this, please pay close attention. I'll try to be brief with this lecture, but it's without a doubt one of the best lectures that I will ever do. All right. So let's get started. All right, we must revisit this. For all those who are claimed to be members of the 12 tribes who descended down from, King David. All right, this is for you. This is information you should be knowing, as this is what you call yourself. I don't care what distinct group you call yourself or are soon to be associated with. This information you must know. All right, I've talked about it in previous lectures, but I'm going to continue to go through it so that there can be no excuses to what's being said. All right. This one specifically for the Hebrew Israelites. For all those who watch this video, please refer this video to the Hebrew Israelites. Once again, the Hebrew Israelites and their school of thoughts. We already discussed the Ethiopians as being considered descendants of the tribes of Judah. All right, we already clarified that they were associated with the 1270 Solomonistic dynasty, going back to the kingdom of Ethiopia, which was established in 1270 AD. All right, that would do the Eighth Crusade, which we'll briefly talk about again today. All right, but this is one distinctly or specifically for the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, the Hebrew Israelites, those who call themselves Jews or Black Jews. All right, we must understand the abstract and the concrete. What you've been taught or what you've been following is the abstract, but what you will come to understand today is the concrete. All right, so let's get started. 6,000 years, which we are in today, the year 2023, which is the Gregorian calendar, and then the Berber calendar will be the year 2973. All right, once again, the Gregorian calendar will be the year 2023, and then the Berber year will be the 2973 year. All right, of our forefathers. All right. According to the classical Jewish sources, the Hebrew year 6000 marks the latest time for the initiation of the Masonic age, all right, which you're in now. The Talmud, the Midrash, and the Zohar state that the date by which the Messiah will appear is 6,000 years from creation. Okay, once again, the Talmud, the Midrash, and Zohar state that the date by which the Masonic will appear in the 6,000 years is 6,000 years from creation. All right, according to tradition, for all you Hebrew Israelites, for all you Black Jews or those who claim to be from the tribe of Judah, no matter what sect you say you come from, this is according to tradition, the Hebrew calendar, because you must have a calendar that you follow. So if you're a Hebrew member of a Hebrew society and part of a Hebrew nation, then that Hebrew nation is governed by its calendar, because he who writes your books sets your timeline. Okay? According to tradition, the Hebrew calendar starts at the time of creation. So when we say creation, what creation? What creation are we talking about? Because it says creation was placed at 3761 BCE, which means before the Christian era or before Christ era. The current 2023 or 2024, which is the year we are in now, according to the Gregorian year, the Hebrew year is 57. The Hebrew year is 5784. Okay, so the year 2023, which we are in this at this present, according to the Hebrew year, is the year 5784 AD, i.e., Annos Dominios, in the year of our Lord. All right, so it's not BC, it's AD, Annos Dominios. By this calculation, the end of the 6,000 years would occur at nightfall at 16 September 2240 on the Gregorian calendar. Once again, by this calculation, the end of the 6,000 year would occur at nightfall of the 16th of September 2240 on the Gregorian calendar. We are in the Gregorian calendar now, all right? The Gregorian calendar was initiated in 1582. Everybody must understand that. By Pope Gregory the 13th. Once again, the Gregorian calendar was initiated in 1582 by Pope Gregory the 13th. All right. It says that by the calculation, end of the 6,000 year would occur at nightfall of the 16th of September 2240 AD. Annos Dominios. You know, Annos Dominios came in the year 1 AD. From 1 BC to 1 AD was a transition, because there is no 0-point date. All right? There is no 0-point date, which we'll show you in a second. But in regards to the fulfillment of the 6,000 year prophecy in regards to the beginning of the creation and the time of the Messiah age, which the Messiah will return to bring clarity to his people under their time in calendar, according to how their custom traditions were laid down. All right. We're in the Gregorian calendar. We know the Gregorian calendar was created in 1582 by Pope Gregory the 13th. You know, Pope Gregory the 13th descended down from Pope Gregory the First to what we call the one who ordered St. Augustine to issue what we call the Anglo-Saxon what was it called? The Anglo-Saxon conversion to Christianity. The Anglo-Saxon conversion to Christianity. All right. So what's important about the 6,000 years and timeline created for the 6,000 years for the fulfillment of the prophecy for the coming of the Messiah is returning back to that state of understanding where they originated from. And those who study the Talmud or the Midrash should understand that that's what the Talmud Midrash means. It means to study, to learn. All right. The Midrash means to make sense of what you learn in the Talmud. All right. Once again, Talmud means to learn, to study. And the Midrash means to make sense of what it is that you study in the Talmud. All right. Just don't take my word for an answer. Let's read it for ourselves real quick. Real quick. Go to the etymology of the word. It concerns those who are associated with Judaism, all those who read the Torah. All right. All those who read the Torah, called the Bible. All right. The Hexator. Whatever you want to name you want to put on it, this is for you. Etymology. Talmud translates as instructions, learnings from Semitic root element D, meaning to teach, to study. So everybody who reads the Talmud understands the obligation that their job as a student, as an infant in learning, is to study. Is to study. So if you're a member of one of the 12 tribes, whatever tribe you come from, whatever group, whatever society, your main objective in that group from the infancy to the age of adult is to learn and study by the instructions that were given to you by whoever who taught you. All right. Let's see. So what does the Midrash says? Let me just make sure you've seen. Okay, the Talmud, once again, just based off the etymology of the word, and we know etymology was created by Isidore Seville. Anybody know who Isidore Seville is, or who want to know who Isidore Seville is, the father of etymology, please look that up. The word Talmud translates as instructions learning, which means to teach and study. All right, to teach or study. Midrash. The Hebrew word midrash is derived from the root of the verb darash, which means to resort, to seek, seek with care, inquire, requiring, from forms of which forms of which appear frequently in the Bible. So that means midrash means to inquire, to seek, to understand. All right. So when you study or you research, the purpose of studying and research is to understand. And the purpose of research and study and understand is why you're a part of that society. All right. Concerning the prophecy, concerning the time of the Messiah's return. Because you were both supposed to be instructed. That's your job. I don't see any of you Hebrew groups are out there concerned about or seeking about the return of the Messiah. I don't see any of you groups concerning the requirement as obligated, as established by the Talmud, the Midrash, as well as what the other one they said. Zohar. How many of you know what the Zohar is? How many of you know what the Zohar is? Because all this under the analysis, the belief that the seventh millennium will correspond to the Masonic age is found upon a universal application of the concept of Shabbat, based on Psalm 90, verse 4. One of God's days believed to correspond to 1,000 years of normal human existence. Okay? So one day to God is like 1,000 years, 1,000 years to us like one day to God. Just as in the Bible says, God created the world in 6 days, and 6 days of work, and sanctified the seventh day as a day of rest. It's believed that the 6th millennium of normal life will be followed by 1 millennium of rest. So everybody, this is what you're supposed to be studying for, all right? Making your inquiry while you're here on this plane of a thing may manifest it. And here you hear from, as we said, from the Hebrew traditions and customs concerning the 12 tribes who descended down from David, the son of God. All right. So based off the Talmud and the Midrash, what is the Zohar about in regards to what you're supposed to be learning and interpreting? All right. What is that? I'm pretty sure none of you know what that is. I haven't heard it being spoken about in any YouTube channel, any group, any society, as well as you see in the custom tradition that you see in Israel today. It's supposed to be preserved for over 6,000 years. And we know we're in 2023, and we know the starting of the Hebrew calendar going to creation was the year 3761. All right. The fulfillment of that, or what it says, by calculating the end of the 6,000 year would occur at nightfall in the year 2240. Very, very important dates. So what is Zohar? Everybody see this? Zohar is the foundational work in the literature of Jewish mystical thought known as Kabbalah, originally written in Aramaic. It is a group of books concluding commentaries on the mystical aspects of the Bible, i.e., the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, and scriptural interpretations, as well as material on mysticism, mythical cosmogony, and mythical psychology. The Zohar contains discussion of the nature of God, the origin and structure of the universe, the nature of soul, redemption, relationship of ego to darkness, and true self to light of God. Once again, Zohar is a foundational work and the literature of Jewish mystical thought. So this must be in your understanding in regards to the mysticism of cosmogony, if I'm saying that right. All right, cosmogony, because it has an effect on your psyche. All right, this is what we call by mental transfer, understanding of what it is that you were put here to learn, because that's the gift going back home. All right, from darkness to light. All right, so the understanding that the midrash and the midrash and the Talmud was supposed to be based off I don't want to be quoting wrong. The Talmud and the Midrash is supposed to be based off the Zohar. And the Zohar is based off the mysticism concerning the mythical cosmogony and the mystical psychology that has effect on your psyche. All right? Very, 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 very important. All right? So everyone needs to question themselves. In lieu of all the 6,000 years that we were exposed in our psyche here on this planet we call Earth, what have you really learned in regards to the purpose of, as we said it, the Talmud, the Midrash, because you were given here to bear witness to the age of the Messiah. And the Messiah has returned, and based on what I know, you have failed in your understanding of the purpose of what the Zohar instructions that were given in regards to concerning the cosmogony that has an effect on your psyche in regards to the return of the Messiah and the hereafter that was promised to you. All right? Because we're in that time right now. We're in that time right now. All right? We know Annos means the year of our Lord. We know BC means before the Christ. So the Masonic age denotes to what we call the Annos Domini, which means the return of our Lord, which is the Nile year 2973, and the Gregorian year is 2023. All right, and in the Hebrew year, it is the year 5784. All right, let's qualify. $2023. The Gregorian year for us is 2973. The reigning British monarch is Charles III. It didn't say English. It says British. All right. The Hebrew calendar is 5783 to 5784. All right. This is the fulfillment of that prophecy. Y'all need to understand that. So where are you at in the instructions given to you in regards to that prophecy of the return of the Messiah? All right. In regards to the hereafter. Because if you don't know about the hereafter, you ain't going back to the hereafter. All right? You're not going back to the hereafter. Whatever the hereafter is, I'm trying to tell you, the hereafter is what I've been telling you. Hence the word, you see that word rabbit? Rabbi, priest, right? Follow the rabbit hole. When you follow the rabbit hole, that starts the black hole. Because I don't see no hole that you can go in the ground that got light in it. All right, unless you go into a transfer to what we call the fourth dimension. And for that understanding, you need to study a cosmogony. All right, you need that study. All right, so we see in the year, Hebrew year is 5783. And as we said, in the 6,000 year return of the Messiah, we're in that year. 1 year short, 5784. And we almost to 84. We're in 5783 now. We assume we'll be in 5784 because we know that under the Berber calendar, the new year is January 14th. It's called Yananir. All right, under the Berber calendar. All right, the other calendar that is left for interpretation is the Julian calendar and what we call the Gregorian calendar. And we know the Gregorian calendar was created in 1582. All right, the Julian calendar was created in 45 BC. And 45 BC under the Gregorian calendar, it has no, it's notwithstanding, because how could you have a date that does not come into effect till 1582, but yet you said that date existed? That sounds for stupid for anybody to have that type of understanding. So I mean, if you had that understanding, that you're violating the Hebrew year prophecy in regards to what was it prophesied for you to know at this time, because that's your ticket home. Tickets, please. All right. This is the Jesus you should be seeking. That's who you should be seeking. All right. That's who I represent the image of. All right. That's who I'm repping. You know what I'm saying? That's the obligation and my emphasis into my adult in regards to me unfolding into the image of Christ, right? Unfolding to the image of Christ, being Christ-like, all right, of the same characteristics, personifying, incarnating, all right? Personifying, incarnating, incorporating, all right? Incorporating. Everybody needs to understand that. Gregorian calendar. Let's just disqualify these arguments now. The Gregorian calendar used in most parts of the world, it went into effect on October 1582 following the papal bull Inter Gravissima issued by Pope Gregory XIII, which introduced it as a modification of the replacement for the Julian calendar. All right? For the Julian calendar. So if the Gregorian replaced the Julian calendar, let's go to the Julian calendar. Everybody pull that up. Julian calendar created 1582. So the only calendar that you can go to for your rescue is the Julian calendar. Pull it up. I'll give you a chance, a couple of seconds. The hourglass is almost empty, y'all. The hourglass is almost empty. So the Gregorian calendar was preceded by the Julian calendar. The Julian calendar is a solar calendar of, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't able to go live. Forgive me for that. Got to pay the bill. Donations need to come to $ Clifford Jefferson L. Once again, $ Clifford Jefferson L, or the Third Temple English Church, to pay this bill to continue with the live, until I can get this matter reserved with on our behalf, so that you won't have to be paying for these things. Okay. So once again, the Gregorian calendar was preceded by the Julian calendar. The Julian calendar is a solar calendar and of 365 days, which we currently go by, and every year with an additional leap day every fourth year without exception. The Julian calendar is still used in part of the Eastern Orthodox Church and is part of the Oriental Orthodox as well as by the Berbers, whereas the Gregorian calendar is used in most part of the world. All right. So the Berbers have now associated themselves with the Julian calendar, which ultimately muted or transformed to what we call the Gregorian calendar. All right, because the Berbers got their own calendar. Julius Caesar goes back to what we call 45 BC. All right, let's see what the history should tell us. This calendar proposed by Roman consul Julius Caesar in 46 BC was the reform of the earlier Roman calendars, a largely lunar solar one. All right. It took effect January 1st, 45 BC by edicts. All right. So they went under the Julian calendar, under the Gregorian calendar, under what they call the New Style calendar, transition from the Old Style calendar, which New Year's Day was January 14th. January 14th, that was practiced under the Julian calendar, goes all the way back to the Berber calendar, which New Year was called Yen and Ner, which was adopted, which day is recognized on January 14th. January the 14th is the day I was actually born on. January 14th, 1970. All right. We know that Shoshin, the Berber king, died in if I'm not mistaken, he lived or died in 943. And King Edgar was born in 943. All right. 943 and died in 975. I was born in 970, so I'm a couple of years short off. But we know that the spirit or the image of Christ reincarnates into a deity every 1,000 years. All right. During the fulfillment of that prophecy. So as we can see, the Julian calendar and part of the Oriental Orthodoxy as well as by the Berbers. All right. So let's go or visit the Berber calendar. The Berber calendar is the agricultural calendar traditionally used by Berbers. The calendar is utilized to regulate seasonal agricultural work. So this is what we call the Berber calendar. All right. The first year of that month is called Yen Nem Ne. Let's go there. Try not to be long, yo. Oh, that's not it. Yen and There. It's the first month of the Amazigh year, Berber year. It has been used since antiquity by the Amazigh in North Africa. The first day of Yen and There corresponds to the first day of January and the Julian calendar. We know Julian calendar goes back to 46 BC. We know BC means before Christ. In our year, the year 46 BC will be actually the year 906 AD. Because Annus Dominos, which means in the year of our Lord. And Edward the Elder, the son of Alfred the Great, whose wife was called Elsworth, were born in the year, was the king at that time, 906 AD. Everyone who wants to validate that, look up the year, look up 46 BC, 46 AD, and 46 AD in the Bible will be the year 906 AD, Annus Dominos, because we're not dealing with, because Christ ain't there in BC. He's supposed to show up in AD, all right? The year of the Lord. Everybody needs to understand that. Let's move forward. So this is all concerning the 6,000 years concerning those who identify with the term Jews, Judah, Yehuda, whatever name you choose to. You got an abstract story that's told in your Bible, and you got a concrete story, which I'm proving now. Because according to the name Jew, if that's the name you're going to use, that should be taken as a national name. All right? It should be taken as a national name. And as a national name, and when you speak it to other people, you speak it in English under the English tongue. All right? You speak in the English tongue, and the origin of the English tongue for the word Jew goes back to what we call Middle English. Once again, it goes back to Middle English. All right? Let's verify that. So, 1 BC. We know we need to distinguish between AD and BC. All right? We need to distinguish that. The birth of Jesus, pictured above, is widely regarded to have been placed by Dionysius Exiguus, inventor of the Annus Dominos dating system. And 1 BC, modern scholarship, however, regards the birth of Christ to have taken place between 6 and 4 BC. All right? But they said 1 BC. Let's deal with that. 1 BC, we know the Gregorian year, which we go by now, and this is the story you're making reference to, Jesus' birth, is according to the Gregorian year and 1 BC. All right? And 1 BC cannot exist because the Gregorian calendar wasn't created in 1582. The only calendar they can be using is Julian calendar. And Julian calendar was from 46 BC. All right? Christ ain't even born. So they can't even use that calendar. All right? So the only one you can use is the Berber calendar. So if we go back to 1 BC concerning Jesus, and Jesus ain't born yet, that means BC must be Berber calendar, because you go to the Berber calendar, the year is 950. So the equivalency of the Gregorian calendar of 1 BC is equivalency to the year 950 AD, Annus Dominos, because Jesus is yet to be born. All right? And it says that the date is associated with the birth of Jesus, i.e., he ain't been born yet. Estimated birth of Jesus in the Christian religion. All right? So not just you, all you Christians, as assigned by Dionysius Exiguus in his Annus Dominos era, according to most scholars, Dionysius used the word incarnation, but it is not known whether he meant conception of birth. You see that? Because incarnation, to me, means the personification or the incorporation of what Jesus Christ represented in this day and time, and in reference to the pattern that was laid down. However, at least one scholar thinks Dionysius placed the incarnation of Jesus in the next year, AD 1. Most modern scholars do not consider Dionysius, but we're going to consider him, because when you got 1 BC, there is a 0 point reference in time. So you got to go from 1 AD, 1 BC before Christ, you go to 1 AD in the year of Christ once he's born. All right, so let's do that. Once again, in the year 1 BC, before Christ is born, King Edgar was already being born, because he was born in 943. right? He became first king in 959. So he's at his age, at the youth, because listen to what we call the missing years of Jesus Christ. All right. This is what we're concerned with. The missing years of Jesus Christ, which is the birth year, is the year 950. All right. It's the year 950. All right. Pay attention because you can't go back. If the year is 1 BC, you can't say this is 950 BC. That would take you back to, like I said, the last rulers of the Berber, the what we call the dynasties of what you assume to be Egypt, but they were Libyan or Berber dynasties of what you call Egypt. All right, Ethiopian Berbers. All right, that's who these people were. So we use the Berber calendar because we just disqualified the Gregorian calendar, we just disqualified the Julian calendar, and we validated the Berber calendar because Christ ain't even born yet. And when you trace it all the way back from time memorial back to the Berber dynasties, to the 26 dynasties of what we call the ruling monarchs under the Berber dynasties, it starts from it starts with Shushan, the 26 dynasties. I think it was Samsis III for all you Egyptian scholars. All right. So from 950 BC to 1 BC, and the Berber year is 950. The year is 950. All right. Now in the Berber year, going back in time, the years we know that the ancient Egyptians go back what 3,000 years ago. All right. So in the Berber year today, it's 2973. All right. We're 36 years short 29, 36 years short of a 3,000 year cycle. Okay, of a 3,000 year cycle. So the Berber year is 950 AD. If you're going to correlate that with the Gregorian year, 1 BC, and you can only go from 1 BC to 1 AD. So if the Berber year is our year 950, let's see what it is in 1 AD if it's 1 BC. 1 AD. As you can see, it's no longer before Christ. It's still a Berber calendar, but Christ ain't born. It is still the Berber calendar. We're still using that Berber calendar, but Christ ain't born until we see Annos Dominios. All right, because the Gregorian calendar is not even in existence. The Julian calendar was something created that was fictitious, right? Because their calendar had stopped being used, but the Berber calendar is still being used. We see in 1 BC, the calendar for the Berber year said 950. Now in 1 AD, the Berber calendar says 951. So as we can see, we're going up from 950 to 951 AD, not BC, because BC just simply means the calendar. You can make it seem like before Christ, which will be validated because Christ ain't being born until we get AD, Annos Dominios. All right. And we know at that time, Annos Dominios, the year of our Lord, the only person who can be considered to be king at that time, and lieu of what we call the kings that were ruling at that time, because nowhere, let's go here, 950. I don't know why our people are hard-headed. 950 AD. All right. 950 AD. In the Berber year is 1900s. All right. 1900s. At this time in 950, King Edgar the Peaceful is about to come to rule. And this King Edgar the Peaceful is none other than this gentleman. All right. This gentleman. according to the Berber calendar, because the Berber calendar was still in use from BC to AD. All right, and the calendar didn't stop; it was still in continuance. It was still in continuance. All right, we see it now. We're in 2973. Y'all better understand. So we know that concerning the 6,000 years, right? We know that the 6,000 years starts with the creation from 3761 and ending in 5784. We know that the 2023, which is the year we're in according to the Gregorian calendar, your story is about to stop because your creation has ended. That means nothing but destruction. The creation of your story was established in 3761, but the creation of you in that story, whether you know it or not, all right? Because we're in the year 2023, which in our birth year is 2973. So we go to, as we said, 1 AD, remember the year, 6,000 years, creation story, 3761, and the year 2023 is 5784, which we're in today. So let's go back to the creation story before I move on. You can ignore this if you want. Birth year 951 AD, our Jesus Christ is about to come to the throne. And the Hebrew calendar, that's the beginning of your creation, 3761. 3761 in the Hebrew calendar. All right? The Hebrew calendar, creation and ending your story is already at its peak. It's done. So what is the problem? Do you know who your creator is? Do you? Apparently you do not. Why? Because you don't even understand where the word Jew comes from. Why and why the name was given to you. Why was the name Jew given to you? Let's visit that. Jew, history, family, crest, coat of arms. The name Jew came to England with the ancestors of the Jew family and the Norman conquest of 1066. The Jew family lived in Somerset, hence the Somerset Cheddar Grove. Cheddar Grove goes back to the time of the first Anglo-Saxon Berber, going back to time immemorial. All right, dealing with anthropology. All right, Somerset. The family was originally from the area of Truix, near Carnay, Normandy. Alternative name could have been from U in Normandy, commonly called La Ville d'Eur. All right, as we can see, the name comes in with the English ancestry of the Norman conquest, because we are all the Jews now do speak English. So you can't bend time and space without taking yourself there, because you exist within time and space. All right, and you can close your eyes. That don't mean what you don't see with your eyes didn't exist. All right, but how you know where you're going if you don't see with your mental eyes? Because you can't take your physical eye there, because that's subject to space and time. Because you only do what we call what you see perceived to be light. That's what you so-called say you see is light. A light is a wave frequency, i.e., electromagnetic waves. All right, signals. All right, signals from who you truly are. And you don't understand that because you lack this information, as the Zohar said, the true origin of where you come from, so the Messiah can take you back from where you come from. Because he said, I had to go back and prepare a place for you. All right? He had to go back and prepare a place for you. This place was prophesied, how we know? History of the Jews in England. So you can look at yourself through an abstract story, or you look at yourself through a concrete story. Because we just seen where the surname came from. It came in with William the Conqueror. William the Conqueror invaded England and France. When the king conquered was a Frankish king. All right? He was a Frankish king. He married into the family. He infiltrated the family. He amalgamated the laws of our family with foreign families. The history of the Jew in England, and remember, Jew is an English word, Jew. Let's prove it. Before we get into the history of Jew, let's look at the origin of the word. Ethiopians too. This applies to you too. Whether you got the 5-pointed star or the 6-pointed star, doesn't make a difference. Look at the enlarged population includes full and partial Jewish ancestry. Look at the lighted areas, everyone. Look at where the grand population is. Look where the grand population is. North America, United States, France. The Jews are an ethno-religious group and people whose traditional religion is Judaism and whose members are successors through descent or conversion of ancient Hebrews or Israelites. So the ancient Hebrew or Israelite, whatever name you choose to call yourself, you're at your day of reckoning because 2023 is the end and the beginning and the end of your creation story. And now it's time to judge. All right? Now it's time to judge. The name and etymology of the word Jew. The term Jew is derived from Hebrew, Yahudi, originally the term for the people of the Israelites' kingdom of Judah. That's an abstract understanding, all right? That's not anthropological. That's not under no common law, no law that's recognized in the present day. According to the Hebrew Bible, the name of both the tribes of Judah and the kingdom of Judah derives from Judah, the fourth son of Jacob, all right? But according to the English word, which we're in, because English word Jew, as you can see, not Judah, not Yahudah, but Jew, as we've seen in the family crest and coats of arms. As you can see, it comes from England. So it only makes sense to make your connection with those Jews in England under the word Jew, because it said the word Jew in English word is a Middle English. The term was loaned via Old French "guil," which itself evolved from earlier "gil," which in turn derived from Judi "edu," which through Ellison had dropped the letter D from medieval Latin "educius," which, like the New Testament Greek "audius," meant both Jew and Judean. All right, so you see the metaphors, the corruption of the words being played. All right, but it said the origin of the English word goes back to Middle English. So what is Middle English? Because according to the surname, they said that the name was brought in with William the Conqueror. All right. So the word, according to our understanding and for our interpreting as required, and you checked out your interpretation, according to the Midrash, the Talmud, and the Zohar, this is our ticket to go into the hereafter concerning our understanding of cosmology or cosmogony. All right, which I'm going to show you because I taught about it in the last 3 lectures I did. All right, about moving from 3rd dimensional to 4th dimensional. They knew about it then, but they knew about it now. We knew about it now. We knew about it then. We know about it now. We know about it. If you're not us, if you're not we, then it's not for you. All right. So we know Jew. Now let's look at the history of the word Jew as it shows you in the family crest and coats of arms, as well as the origin of the word Jew, because Judea is Hebrew, all right? And in the Hebrew, time is up according to their calendar. So if their time is up and they don't see any validation or validity on anything that was told by that so-called story, but this story still being maintained, then you either still be stuck on stupid or cling to something that had more validity than what it is that you were taught, because what you were taught was preceded by this, because the word Jew, as confirmed by the history of the Jews in England, is of a Middle English word. And Middle English is dealing with, validated, Middle English, abbreviated in the form of English, language that was spoken after the Norman conquest of 1066 until the late 15th century. Everybody see that? Until the late 15th century. So if you're calling yourself a Jew, and according to the origin of where the word Jew come from, then you must trace it back to Middle English, because you can't trace Jehuda back, because there's a space in time where there's the validity to support that presumption is unclear. All right, so let's end this one. Come back with part 2 as a result of me not being able to do it live. All right, so thank you. See you shortly.